Hey, welcome to the channel. The J1A is essentially the first thing you think of if you know anything about the brand Acronym. As the name denotes, it was the first jacket they ever designed, and along with the 3A1 bag, it formed part of their first commercially available product, the first edition kit in 2001. That was just the first step in Acronym's history, as this jacket has been released again and again, and it's never really the same each time. This is because Acronym kind of treats its clothing like computer hardware that they iterate on and issue updates for. It's a really striking jacket because it has an unconventional flat pocket at the front, and it established many of the Acronym features that you rarely find elsewhere. Now, I've been a fan of Acronym for a decade, and I came to the realization that I've essentially bought 3 J1s over those years. The first J1 I bought was a silver J1A LP from the Great Brighton retailer Pegs & Son for £829 in 2014. This was pretty much my entry point into Acronym after wanting something from them for a long time. It was pretty much the only rain jacket I wore for a period of about 7 years. It definitely shows some signs of wear, and I've always meant to send it off for repair but never quite got round to it. We'll get into what happened to it later on. The second J1 I bought was this Acronym Sacai bomber jacket in 2022. It's a really interesting hybrid between a J1 and a classic Sacai bomber. The J1 portion of this jacket is based on the Generation 2.2 J1A GT Acronym made in 2019. I really like the colours and the crazy idea of 2 jackets happening at once. It's also the most I've ever spent on a piece of clothing, and I think I might not do that again. The third and currently final J1 I bought was a J1W GTPL from 18 Montrose in 2022. They had it for 50% off, which was still £829, the exact same amount I paid for my first one. I bought it because clearly finding one for the same price I paid in 2014 was a message from God. Also, I wanted a truly waterproof Gore-Tex jacket and some of the more modern Acronym features like Orc Zip, which allows you to attach liner jackets and face masks through a zip. Through owning these 3 jackets, I've gotten a really good sense of how Acronym's design language has evolved over the years, and some of the features that only become apparent after months of wear. Generally, all J1s are characterized by these following features. They all have 9 to 10 total pockets. That's 2 pockets for the hands, 2 pockets for the chest, 1 central flak pocket that includes a pocket for your phone, a pocket behind that pocket known as a mezzanine pocket, a pocket on either wrist known as a gravity pocket, and then there's a concealed MA1 pocket at the end. The gravity pockets are one of Acronym's most ludicrous features. These are sleeves that have a buttoned release tab inside them to slide out whatever you have in them. They're the ultimate thing that you show off to people when they ask about your jacket, but you probably barely use it day to day. Another feature all J1s have is the ability to have an Acronym bag be partially concealed around the jacket through the zippered flap at the back and a partial fastening at the front. I'm still yet to get a 3A1, but I'll get there one day. You'd think since I have 3 of these jackets I would have a 3A1, but no. They have removable Velcro patches near the top of the jacket, one of which has magnets that can hold your earphones when you're not using them. Back in 2014 when I first got a J1, wired earphones were way more common. Nowadays they show these being used with wireless earbuds, which I feel like is a surefire way to lose your headphones on your commute. Now this next one's got to be my favourite feature. They all have a jacket sling, which is an easy way to store the jacket when the condition has changed and you don't want to wear it. I have literally never used a cloakroom since I got an Acronym jacket. Imagine it, you only have to go to a club that has a £2 cloakroom fee 450 times for the jacket to pay for itself. The hood is fully removable and has some great kinching at the back with what Acronym calls speed lock. It also involves another Acronym term, shock cords, a piece of material added to make using a zip or tightening elastic cords easier. These are also present in other locations around the jacket. All the zippers on the J1 are reverse coil AcroGuard zippers with security zips that can't be opened when folded down. They have these Velcro sleeve hitch tags. I actually only figured out what these were for after owning the jacket for about 4 years, which is kind of the glory of Acronym. And lastly, the main zipper is an escape zip. This is a zipper that allows you to pull the zipper up to the top of the zip and quickly pull the zipper line apart. Okay, now let's look at the J1A LP in detail. Despite its appearance, it's actually made of wool, the LP in the name denoting that it's a Loro Piana material. It provides decent weather protection through several layers of fabric. The external fabric can get quite wet, but internally water struggles to penetrate all the layers onto the wearer, and it dries quite quickly. As I mentioned, I wore this jacket to pieces for years, and it definitely shows some signs of wear. Something which I don't really think is my fault is that 3 of the 7 buttons that fasten the jacket blew out, and they blew out within 18 months of owning the jacket. More modern J1s have replaced most of these buttons with a zipper, and I have to wonder if these blowouts were the reason why. It might have just been particular to this exact version of the J1A. One thing that is cool about the buttons on this jacket and any Acronym jacket is that each button has an easy to use thumb tab that saves you from stabbing your body with the button as you fasten it. Some other signs of wear that this jacket has are these mild tears on the edges of both of the sleeves. And here's the stuff that actually is my fault. There's this burn mark that I think I got from being in a club in Prague with a lot of smokers around, and there's this other hole on the back where I accidentally sent a low placed door handle through the back of my jacket. Good times. One of the best exclusive features that this jacket has, which my others don't, is the secret pocket behind the flak pocket, which is also behind the mezzanine pocket. I like to call it the bouncer's nightmare. Just who would know that this pocket exists? It's basically a bulletproof solution for any pat down when needing to transport illicit goods such as Tony Hawk's skateboarding for the PS1. Another feature that's present on this jacket but not future J1As is the way it handles the chest pockets. Here there's some mesh material giving you a space to store some small items like a phone or an AirPods case. This gives you storage but also lets you pull the zipper up to air out the jacket. Future J1s handle this quite differently, which we'll get into. In the velcroed flak pocket of the J1A LP, it has this mesh pocket to store a phone. Now this is in 2014 in the era where phones hadn't quite become so big. My classic iPhone 4S slides right in. I remember getting this jacket just after getting an iPhone 6 Plus and it was a real squeeze to get that in. The mesh pocket also has a cutout behind the flak pocket to allow a headphone wire to feed out and run concealed almost all the way to the sound force lock. That's the magnets on the Velcro patch. This feature isn't present on my other two J1s. The gravity pockets on this jacket are loaded with a zip, which makes the process very easy. I've always found this jacket to have the easiest to use gravity pockets of the three. And if you look closely, you'll see I got a DM from McDonald's. The jacket sling is mounted internally only on this jacket. I'm quite sure external jacket sling mounts only became a thing in 2015 and later seasons. Anyone who has owned an Acronym jacket knows the struggle of putting it on when you've forgotten to unhinge the jacket sling. There's no AUX zip in this J1 because this is in the era of Acronym before they thought of putting a zipper line that allowed you to attach a liner jacket. Overall, the J1A LP has served me extremely well over the years. If it wasn't for the button blowouts, I would consider it to be a pretty much perfect jacket. I always meant to send it off to Acronym to get repaired, but I'm not really sure if they can actually address all the areas that I have faults with, let alone how much such a service might cost. I try to pride myself on buying things that are going to last me a long time, and after almost 9 years I'd say that this jacket is still going strong. I definitely haven't regretted buying it for even a second since I got it. Now let's go over the J1W GTPL from Fall Winter 2021. It's my other traditional J1. The name of the jacket denotes that it's the wide fitting edition of a J1, and it's quite a bit more roomier than my J1A LP. So this jacket is made of Gore-Tex Pack Light, which is an incredibly thin material compared to the LP, but despite this it offers complete weather protection and doesn't absorb rain on its exterior like the wool material of the LP does. One random feature this jacket has that isn't advertised is this loop inside the mezzanine pocket, which is now accessed from the left. I've yet to find a good use for it, but I bet it'd be good for hanging a pair of keys off a carabiner. The flak pocket is also zippered instead of Velcro sealed, which leads to a perfect closure every time at the trade-off of being slightly more work to get inside. The zip is also a tension zip, one of Acronym's terms that means part of the zipper is elongated and folds over itself, so when the zipper is opened the extra material expands and makes the pocket wider and easier to use. The way the jacket is fastened is much improved over the LP. Instead of having a myriad of buttons, the jacket has two zips that provide almost the same amount of closure that all the buttons on the LP did. There are also 3 buttons to really seal the jacket down, but I only really find the flak pocket one to be necessary to close. Instead of a secret pocket behind the flak pocket, this J1 has a long, non-separating zipper for accessing liner jackets underneath the jacket. The gravity pockets have changed. They're no longer loaded by a zip. Instead, you fold your phone or other item against this elasticated opening in the sleeve. You have to apply quite a bit of pressure, and I don't think the thinness of the Gore-Tex Pack Light helps, but it is doable and leads to a cleaner looking and less rigid sleeve. I also find using the gravity pocket quite a bit more difficult than on my LP. It practically requires 2 hands to stabilise the sleeve to undo the interior button if you have the sleeve cinched in at all. I should really reply to McDonald's. The jacket sling is mountable only externally. I'm fine with this as I personally like the look of an external sling, but I don't quite know why they couldn't have just added 2 extra loops inside to allow you to mount it internally. They're already 1/3 of the way there. The area near the neck is quite different on this jacket. It goes much higher than earlier forms of the J1A and can be converted into a collar. I really like the look of the collar, but I practically always want to have the hood attached, so I end up spending a fair amount of time putting the collar down while still having the hood on. One really cool secret function this jacket has is that the left hand pocket has this absolutely massive space that feeds into the back of the jacket. I'd owned it for a good 6 months before I discovered it. You can fit almost every mainline Tony Hawk's game in this area, including the amazing Project 8, the not so great Tony Hawk's American Wasteland, the classic Fug 1, and the just okay Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 4. The chest pockets are handled quite differently from the LP. There isn't any mesh material, so they don't provide breathability when you unzip them, but the pocket is massive. It's arguable that this change is for the worst. The pockets on my J1A LP felt much more organised even though they were smaller. A new feature this jacket has is an AUX zip to allow liner jacket or face mask to be zipped into the jacket. I actually once grazed my neck putting this jacket on the edge of the zipper, but I'll let Eroson off for that one. Presently I only have the NG4PS neck gaiter to use for this function, which I love, but every time I wear it around someone I know they say, please can you stop wearing that. I thought in this post-COVID world we were ready to look like potential bank robbers when out and about, but apparently not. I still wear it with pride though. If anyone has an Acronym jacket with AUX zip and is on the fence about getting one of these, I implore you to go ahead and buy one. They add such a lovely amount of warmth and comfort to these shell jackets in colder seasons, and you don't have to wear them all the way up to enjoy them. So that's pretty much every new feature and difference of the J1W GTPL. I've really enjoyed owning it so far as an ultralight version of the J1. I see it as being far more likely to remain in good condition than my LP for a longer period of time. Also, side note, for some reason this was the only one of these jackets that came in a classic Acronym sandwich bag, and I bought all of these at retail. The last jacket I'm featuring in this video is the Acronym Sacai Bomber jacket. As I mentioned earlier, it's a really interesting hybridization between a Sacai Bomber and a J1A. Not all features quite carry through, but the vast majority of them are here. The only clearly missing ones are the Velcro tapes near the top of the neck, and it doesn't have an AUX zip for liner jackets, which is a slight shame. Some of the Sacai design language it inherits is this bit of decorative material near the top of the flat pocket, as well as these extra studs. Part of how I fell in love with this jacket is the colour, which I think is really cool. In person it's very interestingly reflective, and I've actually had a few instances of random people stopping to ask me about it, which is always fun. If you've ever heard anything about this jacket, you'll know that it's particularly rigid. Sitting down to drive a car in this is particularly cumbersome, so I always have to take it off to drive in. This bomber has one feature that's absent from the other J1s, which is the lipstick pocket. It's a small space on the left chest pocket to store something extremely small. When they say lipstick, they really mean it. I can just barely squeeze my wireless earphones case in this space, and I wouldn't ever really use it for that. For some reason the flat pocket doesn't have an interior phone pocket on this jacket, which must have been the same on the 2019 J1A. I feel like they could have easily thrown one in, but it just wasn't in the design language of the jacket this is based off of. Now, unlike the other two jackets in this video, you can mount the jacket sling internally or externally on this jacket, which is a big plus. This means you can experience the joy of forgetting to unhinge the jacket sling before putting it on in two different ways. The sleeve hitch tabs are still present on this jacket, even though they're absolutely unusable. They look nice though. Sadly, AUX zip is not here. It was present on the J1 this jacket is based on, but it feels like this collection was more for a Sacai audience than the Acronym one, so they weren't trying to add every feature that Acronym ships by standard these days. The concealed pocket is now a standard MA1 style pocket. If you count all the pen slots as an individual pocket, this jacket might have the most pockets of any Acronym jacket ever. The gravity pockets use the easier zipper method to load the pocket, but the internal button is definitely the most difficult to use of my three jackets due to the ribbed cuff of the sleeve. Something I find amusing about this jacket is the care tag that says do not wash and do not dry clean. As if you're not already going out on a limb buying one of these, you have to also pray for a miracle every time you wear it. I guess unlike mainline Acronym, this stuff is supposed to be for people who are insanely rich and don't care if they ruin something this expensive. I don't think I'm in that camp, but it is just a possession at the end of the day. I bet you could clean it in an emergency though. One day I'll probably have to find out. Overall, I really do like the Sacai Acronym Bomber for its one-of-a-kind design and it's quite unique to Acronym colour, but it's definitely not my everyday wear. This is because it's so rigid and I feel like it could easily get spoiled if I'm not careful. All my other Acronym stuff I feel like I could wear anytime, any place, but I only break this one out every once in a while. Thanks for watching this video all the way through. I think I covered almost every aspect of these jackets, but if you have any remaining questions, get at me in the comments section. Also, hit subscribe and destroy that like button on your way out. Cheers.